All right, good evening, everybody, and welcome to Mark Hummel's Harmonica Party. I'm sitting here with a legendary harmonic icon. He's been doing this for many, many years. I've known Charlie since the 70s, and I'm proud to have him on the show today.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here.
Nice to be had.
Charlie is somebody that was born in Mississippi, but you moved to Memphis when you were 3?
Yeah, was going to Memphis is hardly like leaving Mississippi. It's just over the state of it. So I spent my summers as college Jessica with my grandparents. And
So what was Memphis like growing up as a kid?
it was, back then, it was just kind of like a big country town. Now it's like this really cosmopolitan. I can't even hardly find my way around. All of the places I used to go and little bars and things, they're all calm. Neighborhoods they might be there, but it's not the same. And it's just a different place in most ways. I mean, like Beale Street back then was a real neighborhood, and I knew a lot of people that lived around there, and there were cafes and pawn shops, and it was really a colorful, exciting place. Now it's just a tourist trap.
Yeah, it sort of chose it.
And Memphis would have completely obliterated it. Well, they were in the middle of completely obliterating Beale Street when they realized they couldn't make money with it as a tourist trap.
It was close.
I always say Memphis has torn down more history than most American cities have.
LA might be a close second.
They love to tear stuff down.
Yeah.
And somebody told me that a lot of the people in the city government are in construction. So you make money tearing stuff down and building, like to the Stax Museum.
Right.
You know, the place was there.
Right.
They could have fixed it up. They leveled it and then built a facsimile of the building that was already there.
That is so incredible.
That's typical Memphis. They don't call it Bluff City for nothing.
You don't call it what?
Bluff City for nothing.
There's plenty of bluffing going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I love Memphis, and I had a lot of good time growing up there, and I had good friends, and it's just not,
Yeah.
you know, when I go to Memphis now, I see ghosts.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah. Well, one thing that you turned me on to a while back was the Tav Falco book, The Behind the Sun.
Yeah, that's a great.
That is a great book. And it just opened my eyes to what kind of, the plethora of music that was out there.
It really kind of paints a picture of more of the Memphis that I knew. I was a little before what he's writing about, but
Yeah.
closer to what it was like. And speaking of Ghost of Memphis, I recorded a tune with Al Capone, the rapper from Memphis.
Really?
About the Ghost of Memphis. And I sang some verses, and he does a little short rap about Ghost of Memphis. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's right.
It'll come out maybe in a year or so.
Yeah. Well, to me, it was like the amazing kind of mixture of rockabilly, country, blues, rock and roll.
Lots of gospel.
Yeah, lots of gospel.
I mean, Memphis is, in my opinion, the best gospel radio. Not only did they play records, but they would play tapes of services that they had made, where they're really rocking the place. And I used to go to tent meetings so nuts. In the summertime, they'd roll up the sides of the tent, so it's just a top, and I could drive up next to the tent and watch the whole service, and that's amazing. And listen to the music and drink cold beer.
Right, that's amazing.
And interestingly, they were mostly black, but they would be mixed. There'd be white people in there too, rocking, speaking in tongues and rolling on the ground and going into convulsions. And the music is like trance music.
Yeah.
They get a tune going and it would just go and go, and it just kept, people would go into trances.
Kind of like the hill music, the blue hill.
Well, except way more hypnotic.
Right.
And with way more energy or something. It was powerful. What an experience. I wish I had an iPhone back then to record. So
I wonder if there's recordings of a lot of those.
well, it could be, but it is something to experience live, just to be right there watching. Yeah, I still love gospel music.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
Especially
very,
the old gospel music today is like pop music. I can't stand it.
well, it's like country music
Yeah,
back then.
real formula. I remember I went to I forget what city I was in. I saw they were having a gospel concert, and I thought, oh, this could be great. I went there. So, man, more, it wasn't really, it was a, like a fashion show more than the music is like, took second place.
Yeah.
And it was people going, oh, all these, I mean,
Opera singing.
it wasn't a drop of grease. So
Right.
it was just so disappointing. It's just real theatrical baloney. Real, yeah.
Well, there's a definite reason why Elvis, I think, came out of Memphis in terms of just the mixture of what he,
It's what you're exposed to.
right, what he was exposed to.
Yeah. And you just mentioned rockabilly. Well, Johnny and Dorsey Burnett lived across that street.
Exactly.
I used to go over there, and
And you said they were adults when they went.
so they were probably in their 20s.
The clinics, right?
I remember one day I was over there, and I noticed their eyes were real red. I'd never seen anybody with bloodshot eyes. And later, when I went home, I told my mom, I said, them boys across the street, their eyes all red. She said, wow, I guess they've been doing a little drinking.
How old were you?
Oh,
Teens?
no, I was like, I don't know, 6 or 7 or something. I remember they had a steel guitar usually set up in the living room. They showed me how to go, wolf was in.
You know, like that.
With the slide. And they thought it was real funny to see me do that.
That's great. Yeah, I mean, they're another example of, like Elvis that had so much R&B and blues and what they did.
There was another guy named Slim Rhodes. He lived about 3 blocks away. He had a house on the corner. And he would have barbecues and invite all the neighborhood. He'd stand out there with his big white cowboy hat and play his guitar and sing. And his brother was spectacle. So he was actually a comedian. He'd wear like a checkered suit and have one tooth blacked out and some little beanie kind of hat and played upright bass. I used to see these cars, people coming to visit them, these guys in convertibles, like a 19, I don't know, real flashy looking cars with a lot of chrome and white walls and guys dressed real rockabilly clothes. I don't know who they were, but I'm sure they were somebody in the rockabilly field
Right.
to visit it.
Well, there was another guy you already told me about that you knew in Memphis who was a rockabilly singer. I can't. Was it My Gal is Red Hot? Was that
Oh, it's Billy Lee Riley.
Billy Lee Riley? Yeah.
And Charlie Feathers.
Yeah. Didn't you know about those guys?
I didn't know Charlie. I've seen him, but Charlie Feathers couldn't read or write, and he learned guitar from Junior Kimbrough.
What a trip! Yeah. I never heard this.
Yep. He was from down around Holly Spring.
Now, did you know Jim Dickinson at all?
Well, we did a whole lot of recording. It came out 2 albums. That was his studio in Coldwater, Mississippi.
Yeah. It trips me out how so many people came out of the Memphis area and became fairly, popular people.
Yeah. Next door to me, or when I lived in Memphis, was Jimmy Griffin. His name was, and he later had a band called Bread. And so,
Wow.
and he was real friends with the Burnett's, so they got him into recording out in California. On their advice, he went out after they were already out in California, and he went out and they got him to recording some stuff. He got into the business. There they are. I never thought about getting in the business.
Did you get to know him a little bit?
You Jimmy?
Yeah.
Oh, he was a real good friend. Yeah. Yeah, we stayed in touch up till he died. Well, he was living in Nashville where he died.
Yeah.
He had throat cancer, lung cancer.
That's sad, man.
And we were little kids together playing up and down the street, out in the woods, and
Right. And I think you were saying that a lot of your, friends back then were both African American kids and white kids. And it was really
we lived on a dead end street, and lived after the dead end, there was woods, and then there was a creek And on the other side of the creek was black neighborhood.
Right.
And back then, we didn't have air conditioning or nothing. And the coolest place to go was down by the creek
Right.
and jump in the water. And so the black kids from the other side, they'd be down there too. We'd have a hell of a good time.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
You
beautiful.
know, just playing in the water. And
Yeah.
I just remember laughing and laughing and laughing.
That's great. That's beautiful.
They were great days.
Yeah.
As a kid, you don't really realize.
No, you don't realize the difference.
Yeah, it's just, you're just being a kid.
Right, exactly. Yeah, that's what I've always thought about, the whole race thing is that if you grow up around, I grew up around black kids and Mexican-American kids, and it was like, you don't even think about it at the time. Well, not something you're aware of until late.
When we were in Mississippi, my dad was in Navy, and he was gone, and my mom was in civil service, and she was working in like New York City. She lived in Queens for a while, in Philadelphia, and someplace in New Jersey. They were gone, and they left me with Velma. They called her a nurse. She was my other mother, black lady, and I stayed in touch with her till she died. I remember my mom said she'd come home and she'd want to cook for me. And I said, no, I want Velma's cooking. She says it hurt her feelings, but
Yeah.
Velma could cook.
Yeah, my mom had a very similar story because she grew up in Indianapolis and had a caretaker that was black and raised both of her and a brother. Yeah. It was kind of a thing back then, I think.
It's interesting. I never thought about it at the time, but my grandparents lived just down the street, but I didn't stay with them. I stayed with Velma.
Right. Wow.
Maybe they were busy. I don't know.
Yeah. I remember another great story you told me was about when Elvis would open up the movie theater or something for everybody, or the amusement park.
He would have parties.
Right.
They always started at midnight and went to dawn.
Right.
And he would rent like the entire fairgrounds.
Right.
All the rides would be free. Hot dogs and hamburger and cokes are all free. And just roll around and ride.
That's awesome.
Rides. And I had Elvis's phone number. I could call up where the party was going to be.
That's great.
Where he'd rent a theater. Back then it was called the Memphis. It's still there, but I don't know the current name of it.
Yeah.
And he would, I think it's on Cleveland, he would rent that and have a couple of the latest movies and a whole bunch of Roadrunner cartoons. Elvis loved the Roadrunner. I'd see him there at the fairgrounds and we're skating rink, he'd rent sometime. I never really had a conversation with him. We would speak, hey man, or something like that. But
Sounds like he was very kind of welcoming to all the community base.
well, it wasn't all the community. You couldn't just walk in there. You had to be a guest.
So how did that work? How did you become a guest to something like that?
Well, I knew guys that were on the security team that we went to school together.
All right.
They'd see me as he waved me in. I'm like, right. And I don't remember how I got his phone number, but that's how I would always know where the party was.
Wow.
But it wasn't an ad in the paper or nothing.
Yeah. Now, the other thing I wanted to get into is how you got into blues.
I like different kinds of music, and I listen to the radio a lot, and I really love gospel. But when I would go down to that creek, where the coolest place I could find, I'd often just be laying there on the shady side, and there were some fields along the creek and up above me there, and people working there in the fields singing work songs or blues or, and I would be laying there and listening to that, and that music would just wrap itself around me. And it was my comforter.
Yeah.
And that music sounded like how I felt. And I was really drawn to, even though I liked a lot of other music, that to me was more than music. It was my comfort. I was a kind of a lonely kid. I had no brothers and sisters, and my mom, she'd leave in the morning when it was dark, didn't get home until after dark. She took 3 buses, 2 and 3 buses from work.
Wow.
So I remember hearing people telling my mom, he's alone too much. Yeah. And but I didn't mind. But I was alone a lot. So I don't know that I felt about them, but I remember, you'd hear a certain whistle or somebody call their kids to come home to dinner or something. Nobody ever called me.
Yeah, yeah,
And everybody would go home, and I'd be
yeah. You're kind of twiddling the.
so blues was, I guess, for that reason, meant something.
Yeah,
Like I say, it sounded like how I felt. So that's why I'm really attracted to it. Later on, when I met Furry Lewis, he taught me Spanish, and I knew Will Shade. And
now did Will Shade play guitar as well as harp?
yeah,
Yes, that's right, Tom. He was a pretty big influence on you, right?
yeah, and he was. I got to spend a lot of time just sitting around, just with him talking. Would always be drinking Golden Harvest sherry wine, and guys would just drop by all the time because they still remembered him as being this a big man in music. He had the Memphis Joke Band, and they made, I don't know, hundreds, I guess, of records of
Right.
were well known and well respected. And of course, at this time, he's really down on his luck. Him and Jenny May. There was always jam sessions and just meeting people. And again, I didn't know where this was going. I just loved the music, and guys like Will and Furry were really flattered that I would seek them out,
Right.
spend time with them, and they were eager to teach me. Because nobody my age, black or white, would come and see them,
Right.
or had any interest in their music. So here's somebody who's interested in them and their music, and
Sure.
really
Kind of them passing it on.
encourage them. And I often say, I didn't know at the time I was preparing myself for a career. I'd have paid a lot more attention. I was just having fun. I just loved the music,
Yeah.
and I just had to play it. Just had to. But I didn't have any dream or goal of being on stage and in the spotlight.
Right.
That never crossed my mind. I just wanted to play it.
That all happened a lot later than.
That's after I got to Chicago.
Right, by the time you get to. Let's move on to Chicago. Let me take a break here. We'll be right back. Okay, well, welcome back, everyone. This is the continuation of part one of Mark Hummel's next day with Mark Hummel's harmonica party, and I'm sitting here with the legendary Charlie Musselwhite, and we left off yesterday talking about Charlie's move to Chicago when he was a teenager. You were, I think we said 18 or 19, something. 18, and moved to Chicago. We may have some background noise, by the way, folks. With
ambience.
Ambience, yes. We have children and dogs across the way here.
It's all natural.
All natural.
Yeah. Organic.
It's organic. And Charlie was talking about moving to Chicago, and we want to pick up from when he got there and what happened.
Well, the idea was to go just looking for a job. I had no idea that there was a big blues scene in Chicago. I had been told once that anybody in the entertainment business, they either lived in New York City or Hollywood. And I had met Muddy in Memphis, and I'd met Jimmy Reed in Memphis, and I knew they lived in Chicago, but I still didn't put it in my head that there was a scene, a blues scene in Chicago. I just didn't know. To me, it was just a big city up north that had a lot of factories. That's all I knew about it. And that's why we went up there. Me and an old boy named Garen Turner. He had a car, and we drove up there. And we looked around for work. Every day we'd take off looking on our own. And the last day, we was there for a week. He was going to go back. We were both going to go back to Memphis because we didn't find any work. But it was a Sunday, and I thought, I'm just going to take a look around and see what I can see this last day. And I passed a little store, and as I walked by, I thought, did I just see a help wanted sign in that front of that store? And I think there was a light on back there. So I went back. Sure enough, this guy, his name was Harry Zimmer, and he he sprayed for roaches and things. And I went in there and he said, "Yeah, be here Monday morning." So I got a job for him, driving him all over Chicago. I got there the next day at Monday morning at 8 a.m. Harry didn't show up till about 1. And this was in November, I think, and it was cold. But I wouldn't leave until he got there because I had to have that job. Because Garen had gone back to Memphis and I was there on my own now. And he taught me how to make pigeon traps to put on tops of buildings. And I drove him all over Chicago, which was great because I got to learn the whole city right away. And which is not that hard since it's a grid. But I would pass these clubs. Like, I never forget going down 43rd Street, passing Pepper's Lounge with that big painting on the window of Muddy Waters. And wow, Muddy Waters. Man, and I saw signs for Elmore James. I remember Elmore, I think it was in the Maxwell Street area. It was a club. It said Elmore James Tuesday night. God, Elmore. I couldn't believe all these, my heroes were all there. And
this was 1963?
1962. Okay. And once you find out one of the two of these clubs, you discover the whole scene. I mean, the people in these clubs, you talk to people, you're socializing and drinking. They tell you about, oh yeah, you ought to check out this club, and that club, and so and so is playing over there. You just, the whole scene was revealed to me pretty quickly. And at night, I'm going to all these clubs, and man, I just couldn't believe how great it was just to be right there in front of all these great. And there's so many to pick from. Who do I want to listen to tonight? Buddy, Wolf, Sonny Boy.
Otis Rush.
Yeah, I mean,
Aces,
just the list was so long. And at Pepper's Lounge, I don't remember if it was a Monday or a Tuesday night, you could get in for 50 cents. You got a ticket. You went in to the club with the ticket. You get a free beer with the ticket. So you got in and a free beer for 50 cents, and you could listen to Monday till 4 in the morning.
It's amazing. And who was in the band? Was that with Cotton?
Yeah, Cotton and Span. I don't remember who all.
Pat Hare, maybe?
No, Pat Hare was gone by then.
Oh, was he?
I think he had already been in that unpleasantness where he shot a cop or
Right,
something.
right.
Which didn't turn out well for
No,
Pat
not at all.
or the cop. So that, you know, after that gig ended, and then earlier on when I had been looking for gigs, I had stumbled across the Jazz Record Mart, and it was closed. They didn't open until 11 a.m. I was there early, but here was this record shop with all these blues records in the window. I thought, damn, this is really something. And I came back one night. They were open late and met Bob Kester and Pete Welding. And they told me about a lot of other different kind of clubs. There were these little folk clubs where Jimmy Brewer would play, and they were guys that played on Maxwell Street, little solo kind of gigs.
Right.
And Big Joe Williams was living there in the basement.
Yeah.
So that's where I started. I got a gig working at the record shop.
You guys were packing records?
Packing records to send out, mail order stuff. And I'd work the cash register selling records. And I had a cot down there with Joe, and we lived in the basement. And that was great. We would sit up all hours of the night, him telling me all these stories. I wish to God I'd written them down. I didn't, today people talk about journaling and everything.
Right.
I never even thought of. I was too young to think about these things.
You don't think it's going to change. Yeah.
I was just having fun, and I had no idea that there was a career in music in my future.
Right.
I had none at all. I had never dreamed about it or had a goal. I was already playing guitar and harmonica when I got to Chicago, and sitting up with Joe all night, drinking beer and playing songs together, and listening to his stories, and it was really invaluable I mean, stories about hoodoo and
Right.
different guys he knew. And a lot of his stories would end. It'd be this crazy story that happened somewhere. And then at the end, he'd say, I left that town, had my guitar on my back, my hat turned around backwards. And I went on down the road.
And that's
Yeah.
kind of his. That was sort of his lifestyle, pretty much. Was
He was
being a
just
hobo,
He was
basically. Yeah.
one of the last of the itinerant
Right.
blues
Yeah.
guys of Mississippi.
Yeah.
And
Honey Boy, I guess, was like that pretty much too,
well,
right?
Honey Boy
Edwards?
always talked about how, Big Joe was one of the first one took me on the road, and he was the first one to take Charlie on the road. Charlie
Interesting.
from Kosciuszko.
Right.
Honey Boys thought we had something in common. That
Yeah.
Joe was the first one to kind of get us
Right. Gets you
going.
started. Yeah.
Because Joe would take me to play with him at some of these little folk clubs and things.
I love the story in Me and Big Joe where you and Bloomfield and Big Joe are riding to. Well, one is St. Louis, weren't you on that? Oh, you didn't go on that?
That was George Mitchell and Mike Bloomfield.
But you went on the one to Indiana, I think, the Light and Hopkins, JB.
Yeah, that was in Gary, Indiana.
JB Lenore.
Yeah, we went to see Lightning.
Right.
We knew JB was playing, but he played in Chicago all the time.
Right.
And Joe wanted to see Lightning, and we drove over there. And it was a big room. As far as blues clubs go, this was really a big room. And JB was up there with his zebra stripe tails, coat, and jumping up and down with the horn section, and had the audience, everybody's dancing, and Joe and Lightning and I are sitting at a table with Mabel John for some reason.
Wow.
She was there too. The four of us were at this table.
Yeah.
And I remember looking around and seeing how everybody's dancing and thinking, Lightning's supposed to follow this. I wonder how the crowd's going to react to that, because compared to Lightning, JB was sort of an urban, uptown kind of guy. Well, when JB was done playing, I could still see Lightning walking up the steps to the stage with his black suit and the white socks. I could see his and his shades on. And he sat down, and he had a drummer with him. Whoa. Lightning started playing, and in just a few minutes, I don't think anybody remembered JB Lenore. Lightning had that place in the palm of his hand.
That is heavy.
People were dancing. I mean, he rocked that place.
Yeah, that's so great.
It was so great. It was unbelievable.
Yeah.
It was really something to witness.
And then I know in the book he talks about how you fake going to sleep so Bloomfield would have to.
No, it was Roy Ruby.
Oh, was it Roy Ruby? Okay.
Yeah, Mike just showed up there with somebody else. It was me and Roy Ruby.
So Mike would kind of embellish a lot of his stories, from what I got.
Mike would. Yeah. So I would catch Mike sometime telling me a story that I had told him, and he forgot that it was my story. And I'd say, Mike,
oh, that's great.
I told you that story. And he'd just laugh,
He just take it and mold it into his story.
Yeah, because he loved to be the center of attention.
That's so great.
And he would tell you he loved to be the center of attention.
Now, how did you meet Mike Bloomfield?
Was that at the Jazz Record Mart?
Delmar, okay.
It was just called
Jazz Record Mart. Yeah, before.
He'd come in, and we got to talking, became friends, and he, later on, after I beat up Bob Custer and lost that job, I remember crossing the street, it was at 7 West Grand, the Jazz Record Mart. I'm crossing the street heading to Old Town, where my friend Bill Shavers had another record shop. And as I'm crossing the street, Bob's in the doorway shaking his fist saying, "I'll never pay you the money I owe you."
What a legacy.
So I went on over to Old Town on Wells Street. Bill Shavers, he had the biggest black-owned record store on the south side of Chicago back in the 40s, maybe in the 50s too, I'm not sure. But now he was a taxi driver. He drove a taxi during the day, and he was on the union. He was part of the union, the taxi union, and he had the little record shop at night. And behind the record shop was a hallway, and there were rooms behind it. And he told me, man, you take one of them rooms, but down the hallway. And so I would work in the shop during the day while Bill drove the cab. And when this happened with Bob, Big Joe had been out of town. When he came back to town, found out, and Joe really hated Bob. They would fight all the time.
Made his life a living hell.
I remember Joe trying to get Bob with the phone one time because Bob was mad because Joe was on the phone too long or something. Pissed off Joe.
That's great.
So when he found out I'd moved over to Bill Shaver's place, Joe packed up and came
Yeah,
right
he was
on over
gone.
there,
Yeah.
and he took one of the other rooms back there. So it was Bill Shaver's, Big Joe, and I in this living in rooms behind the old Wells record shop, which is right near Schiller on Wells Street. And that was an amazing time there. Living there, at that time when I moved there, it was sort of an artist colony. There were poets and sculptors and authors and musicians and
Cool.
painters, and it was real cheap rent and
So
stuff
this
like
is the
that.
north side?
Yeah, it's called Old Town.
Old Town. Right?
And it was a mixture of Puerto Rican and black and maybe some Mexican and hillbillies.
Yeah.
And down the street was a little bar, a little neighborhood bar called Big John's.
Right.
And one time, I think it was the 4th of July, they asked Joe if he'd come down. They thought Joe was a folk singer or something.
Okay.
They didn't really know what they were getting into.
Yeah.
They hired Joe to come down and play the 4th of July at their bar. They didn't usually have music.
Right.
And Joe asked me to come play with him. And I did that. And they sold so many drinks that night, and everybody enjoyed the music. I said, come on back tomorrow night. And next night, come on, just keep coming. We just had a regular gig.
So basically, you guys were the first ones at Big Giants
We were.
before Bloomfield and
Before anything.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
and they were doing great business. It just kept getting bigger, more and more
Right.
people were coming.
And it was really the breakout of blues from the south side to the north side.
Well, at this point, I mean, there were other there was a club called Mother Blues.
Right. Right.
And the Blind Pig, and they
Right.
were like folk clubs.
Right.
But this was a bar.
Yeah.
And people were dancing, and I mean, Joe really, he held the crowd and really kept people dancing. And
Yeah.
Sorry. On the nights, well, after a while, Mike started hanging around, and there was an upright piano there, and he asked Joe if he could play piano, and
Right.
Joe said, yeah, sure. So then it was me and Joe and Mike on piano.
Right.
After a while, Joe often had to take off somewhere.
Right.
He'd go to Wichita Falls or Omaha or back down
Always
to Mississippi
travel,
or something, or Indianapolis.
Right.
So he had to take off for some reason. And when he left, we got a drummer and a bass player, and we had a band
Right.
to keep the gig going. And I think we only played 4 nights a week. And we talked to Bob Whitlaufer was the guy that managed the bar. I don't think he owned it. We said, all these off nights, you should be booking in other bands from the South Side, like
Right.
Buddy. And I remember seeing Little Walter there. And
Yeah.
everybody.
Buddy and Junior, did they play there?
I don't. He probably did. I don't remember that. Though.
Hmm.
But so we told Whitlaufer who to get a. I think
Right.
Mike even got a hold of him. He might have
Yeah.
been instrumental in actually booking it.
Right.
So now Big John's had live blues every night of the week.
Yeah.
Other clubs on the north side started seeing the great business Big John's was doing, and they wanted to have their blues clubs too, because these were bigger rooms than the small,
Right. The
blues
taverns
clubs
in
on
the
the
south
south
side.
side.
Yeah.
so they could pay more.
Right.
Plus, a lot of the people on the north side were afraid to go to the south side.
Right.
They didn't want
Right.
to. They were interested in blues,
Yeah.
wanted to hear it, but they didn't want to go to the south side.
And I heard that Big John's was a very esoteric kind of bar. I mean, you had everybody in there. you know, like you say, poets and politicians and gangsters and just,
Oh yeah.
you know,
I remember,
students and just everybody.
who was that guy that did word jazz? He was quite a character. Can't remember his name now. But all kinds of artistic types.
Right,
You know?
right.
Well, the neighborhood was like that anyhow. So it was quite a crew in there.
Yeah.
And so then more and more bars on the north side are hiring. They could pay better, and the whole blues scene just flipped over to the north side pretty much. More clubs are opening up, you know, and the Quiet Night, and I don't remember what else.
I think Bloomfield had something to do with the Fickle Pickle book.
Yeah, that was another folk club. It was on Rush Street, and that's where I first met Johnny Winter.
Oh, really? Wow.
We were, you know, Mike would have Blind John Davis come in,
right?
Johnny Jones,
right?
Or
Billy Boy,
Arnold, and Big Joe. And, one night we're in there, and this guy comes in, and he's wearing a sport coat and a tie, and has a big pompadour. It's Johnny Winter.
Wow.
Because he was playing some rock club.
Right, that's what I heard.
Down the street. He had a night off, and he came in, and we all hit it off, had a great time, and was on stage there at the Fickle Pickle jamming. Right. Fickle Pickle was just they didn't even serve alcohol. They served, I don't know, apple juice or something.
Yeah,
you know? This was a little folk club. And Sleepy John Estes would play there, Yank Rachel, Hammy Nixon, and
I gave
That's okay. Give it to Henry.
And so that was just another one of those folk clubs. And that was a scene that was going on there. And the building where the Old Wells record shop was, where me and Joe were living with Bill Shavers, was condemned, and we had to move out of there. And I moved over to Cleveland Street with Roy Ruby and Josh Davidson, who became the bass player with Corky Siegel.
Oh, okay.
And Brian Friedman, he was a piano player. And I was just staying there for free. I didn't have any money.
Right.
And but then I found a place on the south side. And I moved straight on down to the 61st place at the end of Blackstone, which is in the center of the Blackstone Rangers
serious
turf.
area.
That was their place, their area. And by then I'm working with Johnny Jones and Johnny Young, Floyd Jones, and a drummer named, I thought I'd never forget his name, Houston Phillips.
Oh, I never heard of him.
Yeah, he moved back to Mississippi.
Did you work with J.B. Hutto some at all?
J.B. Hutto and I and Johnny Young would go on the road. We'd meet downtown at the bus station and take the Greyhound to different places to play.
Crazy.
Just the three of us. Also a drummer named Wild Bill. He would go with us. Drums, 2 guitars, and myself.
Wow.
And
now, how did you meet Big Walter? You must have met Big Walter through like Honey Boy and guys like that. Right?
I'd already known about Walter from Will Shade because
because
he
lived
said
in Memphis.
gave Walter tips on harmonicas.
Wow.
And Walter was always hanging around him trying to get free harmonicas from him, to give him one of your old harmonicas.
Wow.
Something. And so I, here I got to learn from Will Shea. Then I'm in Chicago, and I get to learn from
Big Walter.
Yeah, we call him Shaky.
Yeah, Shaky. Yeah.
On record, he was Big Walter, but everybody knew him, called him Shaky. And there was a club I was playing with Johnny Young and Roy Jones called Rose and Kelly's, and Shaky lived just down the street, so he was there all the time.
Yeah.
And Carrie Bell and Good Rockin' Charles and a bunch of other hard
And Walter was in the picture at that point. Little Walter.
Not at this club.
Oh, but I'm saying Little Walter was in the club, so.
Yeah, I saw. Well, here's the story.
But you didn't see him as much as you did. Shaky, obviously.
Well, I was working at this place, and he lived down the street, and he was there every night. So,
Right.
but one night, Walter, he would always have some new little trick to lay on everybody. You know, we'd all take turns. We'd stand shoulder to shoulder
Right.
and pass the same mic and the same harp, one to the other.
Pre-COVID.
In a friendly competition. We were just having fun.
Yeah.
And then Shaky would come up and just wipe us all out.
Yeah.
Well, one night he had two harmonicas back to back.
Right.
And I could recognize, and you were in the key of A, I recognized he was playing second position on a D harp. And then he'd do this big flourish and turn them over and started playing something else that I'd never heard these patterns before.
Right.
And when he got through, I said, Walter, what's that other harp? And he showed me it was a C harp. He was playing in the key of A on a C harp. I'd never heard of such a thing.
Fourth position.
Fourth position. A couple of weeks later, I saw little Walter on 63rd Street. And I said, man, I never saw this before. Shaky was playing in the key of A on a C harmonica.
Right.
And little Walter always had a habit of doing his shoulders like that. And he said, oh, that ain't nothing. You can play in E on a C harmonica too. Wow, E on a C harmonica.
Right. That's actually fourth. Yeah.
Fifth position. E is fifth. A is fourth.
Okay. All right. I'm getting confused.
It goes C, G, D, A, E.
Right. Okay.
A circle of fifths.
Yeah.
So then I got to thinking, well, I guess any octave you can find has got to be a pattern, a way to get back and forth and be playing in that key. That was
so these guys in a way sort of hipped you to the kind of music, some of your start on getting hip to music theory. In a sense.
Yeah, because up until that point, I never heard anybody say anything other than first, second, and third. I just figured that was it. I didn't know it.
Right.
But when fourth and fifth, wow, this made me start really thinking about what's really there.
Yeah.
What's available. And even if you don't use those other positions, just knowing about these patterns is helpful in your own improvisations. And you need a mental picture because it's the only instrument you can't watch the fingers being used or how it's being played.
Yeah.
So having a strong mental picture in any way you can add to that helps you navigate.
And we're playing by ear.
Yeah.
You know, we're all playing by ear.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I always tell people you really should learn by ear first and then start learning theory and all that other stuff because that's where you get the heart.
So you had a hell of an education in Chicago, man, from all these guys.
Yeah.
And you and Span, I know, were real tight.
We were really close.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the Myers brothers worked with
me
you.
Me and Span would pick up ladies, and after Pepper's closed at 4, we'd go to these hotels and rent one room and flip a coin and see who got the mattress and who got the springs. and we'd share one room with these ladies.
Crazy.
And at Pepper's, I wouldn't, none of these places was before all this started happening when I was working. And I was just hanging out and socializing. And since I came from Memphis, I already knew how to drink.
Right.
I wasn't going around holding up a harmonica saying, can I sit in? Or I didn't think I was good enough. And it never occurred to me that I could do anything. And I mean, these were grown men. I was a fucking teenager.
Yeah, you were a teenager.
But this waitress I got to know real well named Mary, she
at Pepper's.
She said to Muddy, I heard her say, you ought to hear Charlie play harmonica. And Muddy's like, Charlie plays harmonica. Now he knew me because he thought I was a fan.
Right.
So I'd talk to him, I'd request tunes, and he'd say, how do you know that
Right.
tune? I got the record.
Record club.
It's on a 78.
Yeah.
And it tickled him that I knew his old tunes.
Right.
Anyhow, when he found out I played, he insisted I sit in.
Right.
Which wasn't unusual because there was a lot of sitting in going on. I mean, Muddy
because it was such a long gig. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, 5 in the morning on Saturday night. That's 7, 8 gigs sets a night.
Yeah.
And he got to hear a lot of. That's where I met Robert Nighthawk too. anyhow, I'm getting off the subject, but when Muddy called me up to sit in, the only thing unusual about it was how young I was and that I was white.
Right.
But other musicians saw me playing with Muddy, started offering me gigs. That's wow, you're gonna pay me? That got me focused.
Yeah.
And that's when I
Yeah.
started working with Johnny Young and
Right.
Floyd and all those
Yeah.
guys.
Yeah.
And that was my ticket out of the factory.
Yeah. That's an amazing story, man.
The latter part of your career, and specifically, I'd love to talk about the last two records you did, both the one with Elvin and your newest solo one that's doing so well. But you have worked with so many, like, really famous people in the last, 30 years or so. I mean, between In Excess, didn't you record with those guys?
Mm-hmm.
In Excess, and particularly Cyndi Lauper, and then Ben Harper. And then the Blind Boys of Alabama. I think you got something coming up with those guys.
Yeah, we got a couple of tours coming up.
Yeah, but I mean, those were real game changers for your career, right? I mean, especially Cyndi Lauper and Ben Harper. It seems like.
Well, it got me in front of huge audiences
Right.
of people that had never heard of me, and it was fun.
Yeah.
I remember with Cyndi, she would point to me to take a solo, and the spotlight would be on her.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm taking a solo, but the spotlight stays on her. And I'm looking out at the audience and all the people looking at Cyndi, looking at me.
How funny.
And so finally she would come and make the spotlight follow her, and she'd stand behind me. So they had to put the spotlight
That's
on.
interesting. Wow. Crazy.
And but it was surprising at the reception that this wasn't a blues audience or nothing, and I wasn't a young guy, and like with Ben Harper, people just lit up when I would be playing, and Ben had me sing a few songs too each night,
Right.
and people really, really went for it. I was amazed at how much how totally they accepted me and seemed to really be knocked out by what I was doing.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't a blues crowd.
So do you think that has to do with the whole thing of that people just don't get a chance to hear blues harmonica as much?
I think that's a valid idea that these were people that never heard blues harmonica, or they didn't really know much about blues. But I've always said that if anybody is ever exposed to blues properly, you can't help but like it.
Right.
Almost everybody likes it when they hear it.
Right.
A lot of people hear stuff that's not really blues. They think it's blues.
Right.
Like I remember one time a guy saying, "Oh, yeah, like Birth of the Blues, that's a great song. That's, well, that's a great song, but that's not really the blues, So he really had no clue what I was talking about.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are like that. People that think they know what blues is hadn't really heard it.
Right.
So, like I say, once they hear the real deal, people can't deny it.
Right.
They just got to hear more of that. So, in that situation, a rock situation, and they hear this blues, like in some rock bands, there's some harmonica playing, but it's pretty sloppy and not really, not the real deal. So when they hear something played the way we would play it, it really opens their ears up.
Right.
And so it was a lot of fun.
Well, it's a nice thing that you got a break like that. I mean, and that's something I think most musicians, because blues musicians, we were talking about this in the car, we're really just want to work. That's really 90% of it. It's just we want to be able to apply our trade and,
Well, for me, it's interesting to see how I can fit into a different situation.
Right.
Like with this Cuban music,
Right.
I love how, for me, it just seems so natural to go together. Blues phrasing with the Cuban song, traditional song.
Right.
Or with whoever, like doing, Cyndi did a blues album she recorded in Memphis, and the album's called Memphis Blues. And then we toured together for 2 years. So we would do some blues tunes, and then we'd do some of her hits, like Girls Just Want to Have Fun.
And you'd play on those.
Now has a harmonica solo.
Right.
And I remember one morning we did one of those morning TV shows like 8 in the morning or something, out in the middle of Times Square,
Right.
all the neon.
Oh yeah,
all
yeah,
around,
yeah, yeah.
And just me and the piano player and Cindy
Right.
doing Girls Just Want to Have Fun, True Colors. I really enjoyed it. Just her and I would do that as a duo.
Yeah, yeah.
She'd play, what's that, dulcimer,
Oh, okay.
and with a slide
Yeah,
sometimes
yeah.
too. I remember she'd say, "Nothing says blues like a mountain dulcimer." I can't really do her accent, but she's a delightful woman.
Yeah. She was real good friends with Johnny Ace. Did you know that?
I know that they knew each other.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think they knew each other back when she first was getting
Right.
started.
Exactly. Yep.
But she's so, she can be real silly and she can get as deep as you want to get.
Yeah.
And she can also be as heavy as you want to get. I mean,
Right.
you do not want to cross that woman.
I've heard.
And I've seen her just chew people up and spit them
Oh,
out.
I bet.
And it's
Yeah.
like a work of art. I just loved it. I mean, going, yes.
She's very
Yes.
practiced at it.
Well, she just won't put up for any
Yeah.
baloney, you know. And I
Yeah.
don't blame her.
Right.
But she also has a huge heart and does a lot to help a lot of people that you never hear about.
Yeah.
She doesn't do it for
That's beautiful.
publicity or nothing.
Yeah.
It's just right from the heart.
That's great.
She's a fabulous person.
Yeah. That's wonderful.
So we're still
So,
in touch.
and that's great. You guys
I
are
got
still
an
in
email
touch.
from her just a
Yeah.
few days ago.
Good. That's great. Well, you've done quite a few albums, I mean, on Alligator, isn't that right? Over the last, 20 years or something?
Yeah, I don't know, half a dozen. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. And then you've put out records on your own,
Yeah, on the Henrietta label.
on the Henrietta label?
Yeah, that was my idea.
So
I thought it was a good decision. I
So,
think.
good name, too.
Yeah.
So I'm just curious, like, how do you decide which ones end up on a big label like Alligator and which ones you decide to put out yourself? What kind of determines that?
Well, you know, like an Alligator really knows how to sell records.
Mm-hmm.
They have a real good distribution. They do real good promotion and all around the world, and they've got the blues community covered. You know?
Mm-hmm.
And they have contacts that are real old that are still, you know, they've created a whole network.
Right.
And the people that work at Alligator have been there a long time. It's not a fast turnover there. They
Right.
all love the music. They love working there, despite.
Don't say it.
You know, I think I have a real good relation with Bruce, and I think the world of him. He's a good friend, but he can make you nuts. Bruce knows that, and it's okay. None of us are perfect. But the whole Alligator thing is really a work of the heart.
Yeah.
Labor of love.
Yeah.
So it's nice to be connected with that, and they
Yeah.
get things done, and they do them right, and they know they've been doing it long enough to really have some momentum behind anything they put
Yeah.
out. And
Yeah.
this last album, Mississippi Sun, they really. I was surprised at how excited they were about it.
Yeah. It's done really well, hasn't
It's
it?
been getting
Rave
about the best
reviews.
reviews I've ever
Yeah.
gotten.
Right.
I mean,
Didn't you get a Rolling Stone quote out of?
I think so.
Well,
There's been
yeah.
so many, I've
Yeah.
lost track.
Yeah. And it's charted real well, as I recall.
It was the #1 on the blues charts for 2 months, or
Wow.
Living Blues.
That's
or
great.
One of those.
No, that's the radio. That's radio stuff. Yeah.
or
that's
I-
great.
I don't know how that compares to other.
No, that's really
For
good.
me, I haven't been #1 for 2 months
Yeah.
of anything anywhere.
No, that's great. That's great. And I should mention that on that album, you're playing guitar, I think, on almost every song, right?
The way that happened was the pandemic hit, and suddenly I've got all this time on my hands. I hadn't had this much time on my hands since I was a teenager or something, and I'm loving it.
Yeah.
I'm getting things done around the house. I can actually start something and finish it without having to pack and leave again.
Right.
My suitcase used to be open all the time because I was going to fill it up and leave again.
Same here.
So now I actually got to put it away.
Yeah.
And I'm hanging out at
Clarksdale Soundstage, which is owned by a real good friend of mine named Gary Vincent and his wife Carol Vincent. He's a singer-songwriter, and they were in Nashville, in the whole music scene there. He wrote with a lot of famous people there. And he's got guitars laying around, or I bring a guitar over and I'm just playing stuff. And one day he said, you know, I should be taping some of these songs you're playing. Yeah, sure, go ahead. So every now and then I'd tape another couple or three, I don't know. And at some point, I think Henrietta said, you know, this could be an album. And we thought, yeah, I think she's right. So then we got a local drummer and bass player to come in on some more tunes, and I thought it was okay, you know. I kind of liked the tunes. There's tunes I've been doing for a long time, just for myself or for nobody else, and sent it to Alligator to see what they thought, and boy, they wanted it.
Did they?
And their enthusiasm really made me happy. I mean,
Yeah.
with that kind of enthusiasm, you know you're going to get a good service.
They're going to do a good job. Yeah.
And,
yeah.
So that's how that worked out. It just started out just spontaneous. It wasn't even a plan. It just happened because of the pandemic.
Well, I really enjoyed the choice of tunes that you did on it too. The what's the second to the last one on there?
I don't know.
You told me somebody wrote it, and I'm trying to think of who it was. Some Americana artist.
Guy Clark.
Guy Clark, right?
The Dark.
That's a great song.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
You know, he didn't play it the way I played it. I turned it into a blues. It wasn't a blues.
I really liked it though. Yeah.
But the lyrics I liked so well.
Yeah.
And as soon as I heard his version, I could see how I could adapt that to how I play guitar, and I had fun turning that into a blues.
Yeah, I loved it. And then you did a spiritual, I think, in the very end.
Yeah.
Right?
The real name is The Voice Foretold, but I used to call it something else. I forgot.
Yeah, but it's a deep song.
Yeah, I learned it with the Blind Boys of Alabama.
Yeah.
And I've done that with okay, Buster. I remember
No comments from the peanut gallery, Buster.
I remember being with the Blind Boys of Alabama at the Lincoln Jazz Center in New York City, and we backed up Ralph Stanley.
Oh, wow.
And man,
what a show.
Wow, that was so, I remember literally getting goosebumps.
Right.
And
so he was with the Blind Boys.
he was singing solo, and
Wow.
the Blind Boys, and I backed him up.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and I remember I had his biography with me. I got him to sign it, and he wasn't much of a talker. I'd say, you know that song so and so, I really like that song. He said, yep, that's a good one. You know. He was kind of a shy guy.
Yeah.
I really was glad to meet him, though.
Well, you guys are both country boys.
Yeah.
You know. The other album I really wanted to just tell you how much I love is the 100 Years of Blues record.
Oh yeah.
Of you and Elvin, because to me that album really caught me by surprise, because I mean I'd heard you guys before, and you guys I think had already been doing the duo thing by that time.
We started out, the way that came about, we did these package shows for a company called Cami. I forget what the letters stand, C-A-M-I. You know, they had a bus, and we'd all get on the bus, and I remember it'd be, I don't know, half a dozen of us, and we'd play in different configurations, you know. Elvin would play with the rhythm section or something, and then I would do something, and then we'd come back and do something together. And we'd sit down side by side and just do a duo, and it really went over well, and we enjoyed doing it too. And then somehow we got into doing more of that. They would book us into these performing arts centers, just me and Elvin.
Right.
And we would get somebody to back us up too, like Bob Welch.
Like Bob Welch, yeah.
Piano or guitar.
Right.
And he's a great player, and great to have him behind us.
Yeah, Bob's a great.
It gives us some freedom to.
Yeah.
So anyhow,
Great choice.
and you know, Elvin will do a tune and I'll do a tune, and in between we'll tell stories and
Right.
just talk. None of it's planned out. We don't rehearse this stuff. You know, like I'll do a Sonny Boy tune, and
Right.
then I'll tell a Sonny Boy story that
Right,
might occur to me at that moment.
Yeah, yeah,
So we have a lot of fun, and I've always said if you're having fun on stage, the audience is going to have fun too.
Right.
So
right.
we do. It's as easy as falling off a log.
Right.
And we really enjoy the same music,
Yeah.
and we enjoy playing together.
You guys have known each other forever.
Yeah,
too.
we've known each other since back in the old Chicago days.
Right.
In fact, when Elvin was playing with Butterfield before Bloomfield, I thought that was a better band.
Right. I remember we were talking about that
It was
before.
more
yeah.
of a real blues band.
More of a real blues band. I agree.
And
yeah.
Mike just rocked it up.
Rocked it
for
up.
my
Yeah.
taste.
Yeah. Yeah. No, you're right. Their records were really good together.
Yeah.
Or their original, because the original recordings were just a 4-piece.
I remember I was
Yeah.
at the sessions.
Yeah.
In,
Were you
New
at those
York City.
sessions? Yeah.
A lot of those tunes I remember that were recorded. Not sure they ever got released. There's some instrumentals. And,
Yeah, they did. They did release it on there's an album called What's Shakin' that had some of those songs on it.
well, What's Shaking, the one I know, was like a sampler.
It was a sampler.
It had like 4 different groups
Exactly.
or something on
But
it.
they had like 3 or 4 on that.
But there was a whole lot of more stuff.
Oh, I know there was.
That
Yeah.
was not
Yeah.
released, as far as I know.
Right. No, that got released later on. There's an album, I think it's called Golden Butter, that has a bunch of the outtakes.
I like to hear that.
Yeah, it's got Too Late Brother on there by Little Walter, and
Yeah.
quite a few Little Walter songs.
Yeah, we'll all do a lot of little
Did a
ones.
lot of Little Walter, yeah.
But I remember being in the studio there, watching them record in New York City.
Right. And it sounded good.
Sounded great.
And that wasn't, Bluefield wasn't there.
No, I mean, Mike and I used to take the Greyhound out to
Right.
New York City kind of regularly whenever we could,
Right.
just to check out the scene, see what was going on. And we knew John Hammond, and we'd call up John and see what's going on. That's how that album of his came out, So Many Roads, So Many Trains.
Right.
He
The
was,
one with the band on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Robbie Robertson on
Right,
guitar. Only
right.
then he was called Jamie Robertson.
Right. That's
And
right.
Lee Von Helm and
Yeah.
Garth and all those guys.
Right.
It was them, and Mike and I showed up and called John and see what's going on. He said, come on down to the studio.
What
We're
a trip.
recording.
Yeah.
So we went straight down there. And
That's great.
Dylan was there hanging out,
Yeah.
and that's how that happened. I mean, it was
Yeah.
just a coincidence.
Yeah.
And I thought that was a pretty good record.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when Mike heard Robbie play, he went over to the piano.
He was a little intimidated, huh?
I guess. Well, it was better to have piano than another guitar.
Right,
anyhow.
right. But I was going to say, the Elvin album, the You and Elvin album is such a great kind of relaxed feel on it. That's what I really loved about it. Is it really did sound like totally organic and you guys didn't rehearse anything to death. You just sat down and played. And it's really got a great vibe to it in terms of you guys being able to lock in together on it.
It's just a natural fit.
Yeah.
To play together. We like the same tunes, and
Yeah,
we really enjoy playing together.
yeah.
So it sounds good.
And like I was telling you, I mean, you mentioned the same song that I was thinking of, which was Midnight Hour Blues is so heavy.
Yeah, I love that.
So
tune,
heavy.
and
Yeah.
I love the way Elvin does it. It's,
Yeah, he
it's
sings the
really,
hell out
it's
of it.
just real blues.
Real deep, yeah,
Can't
real
deny
deep.
it. It's,
Sure is.
and he does it in a real special way, and I look
Mhm.
forward to doing that. We do it just about every night.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
That's great. Well, let's play a song or two, man, if you're okay with that.
Okay.
Okay.
How about it? Some
E,
8-bar
A,
blues.
yeah, go ahead on.
In E.
Yeah, that sounds good. Yeah. Well, all right. Well, Charlie,
Yes, sir.
it's been a pleasure, man.
Always a pleasure.
It's always fun to talk to you,
Yeah.
and you have so many great stories. I know you could go on for days, and I could be prying more stuff out of you, but no, I
Well,
really
we'll do it
enjoyed
again
this.
sometime.
Yeah, I love it.